Welcome to this week of Beanie and the Boom, the podcast. We got a very special guest, as we do every week. Our guy, Ohio's own, Cincinnati's own, Isaiah Pead, man. Welcome to the show. Happy to have you on. We got another guest that we're going to have as well. We're going to have Jeremy Birmingham on here in a second to talk about recruiting. But real quick, man, we missed a couple of weeks. We've been on a little bit of a hiatus. Boom was on vacay. I was on vacay.
Yeah.
What's been going on, man?
Man, I've been chilling, man. I actually, like you said, I went on vacation, went to Jamaica with my family, man. Had a good time out there. Had some free time to just release and, just relax, man. I had a good time.
Oh, man, so real quick, was you scared going over to see us after all that shit that was happening down in DR?
Man.
Not overseas. I mean, overseas. I've said
No.
Hey, yeah. You got to go to an island, essentially. Were you scared with all that shit that happened down in DR?
I mean, you better believe I had my head looking around like, man, just making sure, because it's like, it just seemed like ain't nowhere safe right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And, when you go into to someone else's country, man, you just got to be safe. But we stayed on the resort, so
it's a good time for you.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. How was your vacation?
My vacation was right around here, man. So I had a week where I didn't have to do shit, so I didn't go anywhere.
Right.
I can't get out of town that much because
the boys,
I'm with the kids and all that good stuff. But
yeah.
I mean, it's been cool, man. We got another vacation coming up. We're going to Florida here in a couple of weeks, which I'm excited about, just to be able to get some permanent sunshine.
Yeah.
But yeah, nonetheless, man, this is a downtime right now in the sports world. Not a lot going on, but one thing that is going on always, constantly, and that's recruiting.
Yeah.
Pete, you know all about being a high-profile recruit in the state of Ohio, man. What was that like for you, being in those periods to where it was a little bit of the summertime, but you had these coaches hounding you?
Yeah, I believe the rules are a little different now. They're a little bit more strict.
Right.
They were very loose then, and I remember just waking up, sometime to 50 text messages, and it's like, to the point they started running up the bill. My mom had to
hold it down.
Yeah, so.
That's back when we was getting charged for text messages.
Right.
Too.
Yeah. It was a big jump on the bill to have to go unlimited.
Right.
Back then. So, but it was. I just remember it being hectic, man, and it was hard to create those personal relationships.
Right.
And but it's on you. You know, so nobody can sway you. It's really on them young men to feel comfortable with their choice. So.
Let me ask you this. So you growing up in Columbus as a kid, was you a Buckeye fan?
I was.
Say some of that though, because we got a lot of time with you, and I want to hit on that. We're gonna hit on that story.
Well, we were talking about it, so
Yeah, I'll get you.
I'll give them that.
Oh, we're gonna get into some of that. Right now, we got Jeremy Birmingham on. Birm, always a pleasure to have you on. He's one of our own. We're here with Lettermen Row. Knows the recruiting landscape like no other, can break down anything. Birm, what's going on, my brother?
Hey, man, what's going on, guys?
What's going on, Birm? How you doing, man?
Good. Trying to, break down the week after the huge couple of recruiting weekends, and the dead period started Monday, but, that doesn't mean what it used to. It just means kids aren't on campus. So still a lot of conversations, still a lot of things going on as far as people trying to sort out exactly where their next move is, and you're going to see a ton of movement in the Ohio State recruiting class of 2020 in the next few weeks.
Go ahead, Bo.
I was going to say, Birm, it seems like Ohio State is like on fire right now. Like so many kids, it seems like has committed, in the last couple of weeks, man. What do you see going on right now?
Well, I think a lot of it is just it's timing. People have finally been gotten the chance to really know the coaching staff. And when you're talking about a new head coach, 5 new assistant coaches, it takes time to build those relationships. And right now you're starting to see some of that pay off for Ohio State. But beyond that, they've had an opportunity for Ryan Day's program to really figure out what it is going to be. And I think as kids and their families get to campus and they spend time around the coaches and they spend time within the program and see what Ryan is doing different than Urban Meyer, what he's doing the same as Urban Meyer. And I think it's just about figuring out, this guy is 40 years old. He's obviously a very good coach, but more than that, they're realizing that he's the type of person they want to send their kids off to college with. And for Ohio State, it's a big time, but it's not even close to over. They're at 13 commits right now, and by the time the middle of July comes, they could be looking at 21 or 22. So they're definitely in a position right now where they can boost themselves, into a conversation as a top 4 or 5 class in the country, and it'll stay that way all the way to signing day.
It's a beautiful thing to be at Ohio State right now, to be a coach, a player, just associated with the organization, knowing the coaching staff that we have in play. Last week, I golfed with Jeff Hafley and Greg Madison. I think I'm pronouncing his last name right, but super cool dude, super down to earth. But we were talking about, the ability to be able to go out and recruit and what made those guys comfortable making a decision. More so, Coach Madison coming from Michigan and Hafley coming from the NFL. And it was like the relationship that they had with Ryan Day and the ability to be able to build something that is already, not to say rebuild something, but, be within a program that's already has such a large foothold on the landscape of college football and recruiting. They wanted to be a part of that, man. And talking to those guys and talking about some of the recruits that they were going out and getting and the players that they have on the roster, they feel really, really good about our position right now, Birm. And with some of the guys that we just landed, one of those being offensive lineman Ben Chrisman, I think I'm pronouncing his name right. What do you see out of that guy, and what do you think the coaches have an advantage at over other coaches outside of obviously Ohio State being Ohio State?
Well, I mean, that Ben Chrisman is a 2021 offensive lineman from Revere High School up in Ridgefield, and he's a kid that has offers from Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, everybody. He is not a junior in high school yet, so you got to think about this kid at 6'6", 300 pounds.
Jesus,
he moves incredibly well. He's 15 years old.
What?
And what they've done and what they've been able to establish is that Ohio State isn't going anywhere. And when you look at Jack Sawyer and now Ben Chrisman, the top 2 players in Ohio in the class of 2021, it's proof that the name of Ohio State football still means a lot around the state of Ohio. And Chrisman is a kid who could have played the recruiting game for the next 2 years and done his commitment at an Army All-American game, or gone on ESPN and done all that stuff. But he just decided on Monday that he realized that's where he wanted to be, and he wasn't going to waste time, because he saw that his greatest opportunity was to be able to help Ohio State recruit. Because when you're talking about a kid, he's a likely 5-star offensive lineman in his class, similar to Paris Johnson in the class of 2020. You get those guys in the mix early, and then you just let that sort of marinate, and then those guys can help build a class, and that's really the important part about getting him committed so early.
Man, I love it. I remember I was a guy that committed kind of early, and I was on the phone with a bunch of recruits. I mean, Juice Williams, a guy that we wanted really bad. Antonio Hinton, a guy that we wanted bad, ended up getting. There was a bunch of recruits. I was one of those ambassadors at the time.
You was recruiting, huh,
and you feel good about it, too, because you got that offer, you committed to Ohio State, and anything you do to help the program, you feel real comfortable. But we also lose a top prospect in the state of Ohio, in my own backyard, and that's running back Diamant Tremont. Tranium. What's the deal with that? I mean, how did Ohio State let a running back of his caliber get out of here, and then not only get out of here, but go to a place like Arizona State to where they got a good coach. Herm Edwards, I had him on my show every week last year talking to NFL. How did that happen?
Well, let me start. I'll reverse engineer this. I will say, if you lose a kid from your own backyard, a kid as talented as Diamante Tremont is, you'd rather him go to Arizona State than Penn State. So
facts.
That's not a terrible loss in that respect. He's Ohio's top running back in the class of 2020, but Ohio State is in a position to land Arizona's top running back in 2020, which is 5-star running back Bhishan Robinson,
who's also, I believe, is from Akron, right?
No, Bhishan Robinson's from Arizona. He's out in Tucson.
Okay, the other kid that we had committed at one point in time, the running back out of Arizona, he's from Akron.
Right, that was Darvon Hubbard.
Yes.
And so I think, you have to prioritize, and Trainum's a really good athlete. He could play safety at the next level. He could be a linebacker. He can play running back. He wants to be a running back. And I think that there was some doubt in his mind and his family's mind that if he chose Ohio State, that he would stay at running back. And I think that ultimately that's what drove him to Arizona State, believing full well that after Eno Benjamin leaves the Sun Devils program this year, that he's the guy to take over. And I don't think he had that confidence in Ohio State. There's been too much talk about him as a potential defensive player, and I think he wants to be a running back, and that's what it comes down to. So it really is about not trusting that the Buckeyes were going to give him a shot at running back, even though they've said for the last year they would. So, and then maybe that's rooted a little bit in what happened with Todd Sibley out of that school a few years ago when Sibley was committed at running back and was ended up basically pushed out of the class because he really hadn't developed the way that Ohio State thought he would. And then you have Darvon Hubbard, who's from the same area. So maybe there's a little lack of trust or something that, that's sort of been built up. But ultimately what it came down to was wanting to be the man at running back in his class, and that's what Arizona State's going to allow him to be.
Yeah,
Birm, when you look at the landscape of recruiting, and you look at what Ohio State has done already, we talk about Diamant, we lose him. We lose a couple of guys, but we pick up some phenomenal commitments over this past year. Who's that one guy out there? Obviously, Fuller was a guy that everybody was clamoring over, and we got him, we landed him, and that's been amazing. Who's that other one recruit out there that Ohio State needs to get in order to solidify their class?
Well, I mean, it is Bhishan Robinson, the running back from Arizona, who I just mentioned. I mean, he's the third-ranked running back in the country. He is a guy that, as you just alluded to, they kind of put their eggs in that basket, and you risk losing a player like Diamant Tremont because you know that you are in the mix for Bhishan Robinson, and he's very special. He's a next-level guy. And he's somebody that in this class, with the running back depth behind J.K. Dobbins being completely unproven and the likelihood that J.K. Dobbins is going off to the NFL after this junior season, it is extremely important that the Buckeyes land one of these top 3 or 4 running backs in the country. There's this handful of 5-star running backs, Zach Evans, Kendall Milton, Bhishan Robinson, and Jace McClellan. They have to get one of those guys. They have to. I mean, they I don't want to say it too many times, but they have to get one of those guys.
Well, hey, I'm sure the way that Ohio State is going with recruiting right now, I'm sure that we'll be able to land one of those guys. One guy I did want to ask about, and I seen he had listed Ohio State as one of his top 5 schools. I think he's only a 4-star, but Emmitt Smith's son named Ohio State as one of his top schools. Is he a guy that you see that could be helpful to Ohio State, or what?
I mean, E.J. Smith is very close to Tony Alford, and so is his dad. So it's a relationship that's continued for the last year. He's been on campus twice. He's going to take official visits in the fall, and a lot of where things go between Ohio State and E.J. Smith is really relative to what happens with Bhishan Robinson and Florida running back Jalen Knighton, who in the next probably 3 weeks should have a decision made. So if those two guys both pick Ohio State, and I think that right now the feeling is that they both are leaning in that direction, according to people I talked to in the program, if both those guys get in, I think they'll be done at running back. So at that point, they may not have the opportunity to continue to recruit EJ, but he plans on taking his official visit in the fall. And unlike all these other guys, he's waiting to decide until after his senior season. So you do have time to sort that out. But he's a really special running back. He's the 4th-ranked running back, and he's a kid that can really play out of the backfield in the passing game and stuff too. So he's kind of a little more versatile than a guy like Bhishan Robinson, who's more of your bell cow every down back.
Birm, we always greatly appreciate you anytime you stop on Beanie and Boom. I'm sure we'll be getting you back on here soon, when we get some of these other Boom text messages, not text messages, Boom tweets, rather, that we get from Coach Mark Pantonio, anybody at Ohio State, anytime we get a big-time recruit. That's Jeremy Birmingham, our very own Lettermen Row. Thanks a lot, Birm.
Yes, sir. Thanks, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Now we can dive in a little bit, man. Dive into your recruiting situation and how that shit was. I mean, but before we do that, I remember going to a game. I want to say it was probably your senior year in high school, and it was at Eastmore. I can't remember who it was y'all was playing, but I'm watching this dude every time he touched the ball. I think I kid you not. I think he probably had 10 carries in the first half. Swear to God, 10 carries in the first half. 6 touchdowns. I left after halftime. I'm not standing there. This dude is ripping and running. And Deontay would always call me, hey, you got to come out and watch him play. You got to come out and watch him play. And I had met Pead a couple of times before I watched him play. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
How was he not going to Ohio State? I just instantly know, he'd be on the team here shortly thereafter, watching the way that he was dominating the kids here in Columbus. That shit was crazy. You remember that game?
I remember that game.
Bro, it was crazy as hell watching that, man.
The first half was 10 for 6, but I had one more carry, first carry, the second half, and scored that one too.
Bro,
But
nuts, man.
that ain't seven.
I never seen nothing like it, man.
Doing numbers.
At all.
We used to go to the sideline.
Right.
Yeah.
But how was that that recruiting process? Obviously, you know, Ohio State is a big school in town. You grow up in the backyard, and you end up going to Cincinnati, having a great career there. But in the midst of all of that, before you go to Cincinnati, what was that recruiting process like? And was it a hard choice to go to Cincinnati? And did Ohio State offer you? And what was that situation like being recruited by them?
Honestly, man, a lot of it was just, ignorance. Being, coming from a single parent home, and not really having too much of a male influence.
Right.
I mean, to tell me about the different colleges and schools and whatnot. So my mind was always focused on, Ohio State. And I would get letters and different questionnaires. And sometimes wouldn't even fill them out, or not even, and not having, the financial situation to attend different camps and things like that. So it was kind of, just putting myself on putting all my eggs in one basket, Ohio State or nothing. And so, I wasn't really involved much as I didn't put as much effort as I should have, into the whole recruiting process. And so some of that could have been, on my fault, my ignorance. But I had a relationship with Cincinnati and the different coaches that I did obviously speak with, and Ohio State, Coach Haynes, the
Coach Haynes,
Paul
Haynes.
Yeah, he was my boy, and then the recruiting coordinator, I forget his name, Coach Fickle, who was actually with Cincinnati now. I spoke with him and and then Jim, Coach Trust, he was real cool. When I would come and watch our guys practice, I would just go and hang out with Trust. So they were very heavily involved in the recruiting process ever since like my sophomore year. It was almost I just knew it was going to happen, fall into place. Kind of was just maybe on me with my grades and things, ACT scores and things like that. And then, I would get again different letters, and I would entertain in different colleges as well. But not nothing too far, and not that I was nervous or scared to, but it was just I didn't see that, growing up.
Mom's got to come see me play, so you got to be,
and growing up in Columbus, almost seeing the outside of Columbus is kind of difficult sometimes, so especially at a young age like that. And but I remember being in school my senior year, and my the athletic director, A.D. Brown, he came and said, "You get your offer from Ohio State yet?" I'm like, "Nah, man." He's like, "What?" Come with me. We went to the office. He checked me out of school. He said he's done with school today. We go down to the facility, and I remember passing you in the hallway. I don't know if you remember that, but
vaguely, yeah. I've seen you so many damn times. But you, I think you were kind of they were getting on you for missing class or something. And I'm like, you need to holler. but anyway, so we're down there and talking with the people, and the athletic director was almost like my agent at this point. We just walking through, and we finally sit down with the recruiting guy in the room, us three, and he's just doing all the talking. A.D. Brown, he's just like, what's going on? Where's his offer? And there was three people. It was me, DJ Woods. Or first it was me, then Lamar Thomas, and then DJ Woods. And he just told me, man, we can't give you this offer. My ACT score didn't match with the grade that I needed or whatever. And they said, but we love you. We love you to be a walk on. And I was just like, no, okay, we ain't going that route.
Do that. So I remember walking out and going home, and that's when it just kind of just hit me. That was like my first time, like, really having a goal set in mind, and it wasn't gonna happen. It was never gonna happen. That was what, like 17 at the time. So it was like, man, that's when I started to maybe open my mind up. But at that point, we had like a month left before signing day. So I rushed into my visits. But ultimately, I did feel comfortable with Coach Hinton, who was my he with Ohio State now, but he was my coach.
Love that dude.
I said, yeah, love him to death, man. Love him to death. He was in Cincinnati, and he was the one that was recruiting me. And he was more so like that male figure that I needed. He took me to all my teachers and almost like a parent teacher conference. He was like, what does he need to pass his class? What is he going to need? Because I was almost on a borderline of not making a clearinghouse.
Right.
I ended up making a clearinghouse, and everything was good. But I respected him taking lead of more than just the football.
Right.
He always talked about that. After the recruiting, of course, we would talk about recruiting, and then before we got off the phone, he would talk some life, and he would tell me like, if you don't do this now, how do you think you would be as a man when you have to, take care provide for a family
right.
and things like that. So that stuck with me, and that's where I ultimately made my decision, and had my Cincinnati life.
Man, so
that's big time.
It is, man. Hinton is a cool ass dude, man.
Yeah.
He was out there. We was golfing last week too, man, and it wasn't me hitting the balls. Pause. Onto their fairway that they was golfing on, but I had to keep driving the cart and my partner getting his balls and all that. And all I kept saying, bro, it wasn't me. Right. And he started singing the Shaggy song, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
But super cool dude, man. Anytime I'm over at Ohio State, anytime I see him on a cruise, super welcoming and just super conversational and easy to have a convo with, man. Good dude. If you get a chance to go over there, boom, check him out. You ever go over there to the Woody and see him?
At O State.
Oh, bro, they would love to see you over there.
Okay,
I'm sure,
yeah,
man. I'm sure Coach Hinton, you being one of his former guys and being here, he would love to see you,
I'm going to
man.
definitely call him and ask.
Man, heck yeah, they would love that.
Gonna get you some Ohio State gear and everything. Right?
I'll take a hat. I can take the hat on. That's easy.
You go to Cincinnati, man. You have an incredible career down there. What was it like at Cincy? I always wondered. I knew a couple chicks that went to Cincy that was from my hometown. They would always come back here to Columbus, and we would always go out, and they would always talk about Cincinnati and how it was down there.
It's
what was
totally,
that?
I'm about to say it's totally different now, though.
But
yeah.
But what was the
man.
college experience like?
Man, it was a lot. So we always joke when I say we. I say the teams that I was a part of in 4 years, rather from when I was young and the older guys up until when I was older and the guys that were with me then. We always joke that we all shouldn't have been there as players at the same time. I feel like we all got the same type of story
Right.
like mine. And so when I first got there as young, it was kind of like already bubbling a little bit. They had won 10 games for the first time.
Was Kelly the coach?
And Kelly was the coach. Yep. And the campus was just it was ran down. It's in the middle of the hood. Like across the street is the hood, and it was there was empty parking lots, and it was just it was just sense. It was rugged. And that was us. It was Nippert Stadium is a home stadium that's right there, dropped in the middle of classes. And people. It's not as protected as the shoe here. Like you can go out there and do homework and chill at all times, day or night. So it was like it's the nip. This the crib. Ain't nobody coming in here getting a dub on our field. This is for our students, and this is like it felt real like personal.
Right.
And so again, before I got there, they had won 10 games for the first time. My freshman year, we won 11 games for the first time ever. And it start. And we won the Big East championship. We went to the Orange Bowl. We lost to VTech, Cam Chancellor. I seen Cam Chancellor. Boy, hey, y'all think he a man now? But Tyrod Taylor and all. And then when my sophomore year, we went undefeated. We won 12 games. So it was just we were hitting milestones as a team, and it was just bubbling, man. It was bubbling. We didn't lose at home, So it was really just bubbling, man, and just being down there, it was really it grew. The city of Cincinnati started to have something to hang their hats on and brag about.
Embracing it.
But now, if you go down there now, it's completely switched around, completely changed. And of course, us as all them teams, them 5, 6 teams, we hang our hats on how the campus is now, because of course we know deep down, who created this.
Right. That's always a beautiful thing when you build a foundation and you get to see everybody else reap the benefits of it. Although you want to be able to reap some of those, but it's like, damn, it's cool. Yeah, I did that.
Right.
Like, I appreciate it.
They got a Waffle House on campus.
Right.
Yeah, that's what's up. Hey, so now that, Coach Fick is there, have you had the chance to, go there and, meet Coach Fick and see all the guys there now?
Yeah, I've been down, a few times. Obviously, with my situation, I haven't been able to move as much. But now I'm 2 years in. I'm a little bit more mobile now.
Yeah.
Plan to be more active. But Yeah, I was down there. Been to a couple games. They did have, like a Pead night, Isaiah Pead honorary night.
That's what's up, man.
Last year and 2017, and it was cool, man. It was a beautiful thing. And since then, I see they do the bubble thing early on in the season, but they can't never finish strong,
right.
man. So. But I think I think what he's doing, I can just tell, definitely from a defensive standpoint, he's definitely just he got his people going.
I can't wait to see it this year, man. Obviously, we play y'all this year, so that's going to be a pretty big game. Anytime we play Cincinnati in house, it's going to be huge. But they coming in and we want to run the damn state, and we understand how competitive that game is and how big it is. And we're going to bounce around a little bit, too, in this. So what you got, Bo?
I was about to say, would you hear – what year was it that Cincinnati almost beat Ohio State?
I played Cincinnati when I was here, but they ain't almost beat us.
Yeah. That was it?
It was a close – no.
No. It was
a close game. It was one of them years.
It might have been the national championship year. They had a real tough game.
It was?
Yeah.
It was.
Okay.
Yep, 2002.
Okay.
Yep.
So you
I wasn't here then, but we're going to bounce around a little bit, man. I want to talk about, your journey and getting drafted because, when – you came out. I remember watching you and Boom in the
Senior Bowl.
In the Senior Bowl, bro. And you lit that
My
shit
dog
up.
got MVP.
You lit it up in the Senior Bowl, and then the draft rolls around. Remember, you come out to Arizona to train.
Mm-hmm. We
chopped it up on the phone one time out there when you was out there, and I was out there playing. And then you get drafted in the second round, man. What was that from the Senior Bowl to being drafted? What was that experience like?
Man, it was. Living the moment, when they was telling us, enjoy the process and enjoy the moment. Is it literally what it was. I remember my junior year. I know I wasn't going to, come out or whatnot, but you can submit some type of
your paperwork and shit.
Yeah, and they projected like a 6th round. Coming out my senior year, I was hearing like 5th, 6th round. I think we were talking about it, and so I knew I was a player, and I knew we was gonna have opportunities to prove that.
Right.
So I was grateful and thankful for the opportunities to be on the big stages with the Boom Herons and the Trent Richardsons and all of that. So let's play, and so that's how I took it, and just enjoying the moment, having fun, trying to be myself and be honest in the interviewing processes. And just stand to the grind, because it is a grind, especially how it is at that Senior Bowl.
Oh, man.
That Senior Bowl, you too. Did you play?
No,
right. That Senior
he
Bowl,
big time, bro.
Yeah, he one of the early guys. Yeah, okay.
That first round.
Okay, yeah. But that Senior Bowl is brutal, man. It's like the combine with football.
Right.
Train like a mini camp almost. And
what thing is about that? It's like as soon as you finish your senior year, you go play in the Senior Bowl. Then you got to train for the combine. Then you go into a rookie mini camp. Man, it's like you don't get no break, bro. It's like that whole year is just crazy, man. Crazy.
Yeah.
Man, I can imagine that being tough and strenuous, but it worked for you especially. To be drafted, and like you said, going into your senior or after your senior year, was here in 5th or 6th round. You get in that Senior Bowl, you ball out in front of everybody. All the scouts, all the coaches are right there on hand. You're taken in the second round of the draft by the St. Louis Rams and Jeff Fisher.
Jeff Fisher.
Was he the coach of the
Yeah.
Rams? Okay. And Jeff Fisher, how much of a surprise was that for you when you were drafted? And then what was it like? What was that feeling like? Shit, I just got drafted in the second round. What's what?
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. I was geeked. I was like, oh, my dog. Hey, I know I'm coming up next.
we was at the house.
Yeah.
Man, it was.
Did you
felt
know,
good.
like the day before, the day was
I kind of felt it. So there was 4 guys and 4 running backs in the first round. We knew Trent Richardson was going.
Yeah.
But after Trent, we didn't know it. Anybody could have fell.
Yeah.
Right.
I think David Wilson went.
And then David Wilson was the last pick.
Yeah, he
was the last running back, and
The
so
Giants.
that was kind of unexpected. And
to see 4 go in the first round was like
who was the 4?
David Wilson.
It was Trent
Richardson. Then from Boise.
Oh yeah,
from Boise.
Muscle hamster, they call him. Doug Martin.
Doug Martin. It was Doug Martin, and then dang,
I know the people, bro. He just messed me up.
I can't remember.
Richardson, Doug
I know
Martin.
Wilson. He was the 4th. I can't remember who the 3rd one was.
It's gonna hit me.
Yeah.
I was the 4th. Oh, the 3rd was David Wilson.
So
I was the number 4 running back.
Okay, you was the 4th running back. Gotcha.
There was 3 in the first round.
Right.
I was the number 4. There we go. David Wilson was the 3rd.
So when you get drafted, man, what was that like at that point in time, man?
Man, that's one of them feelings that you can't really put into words, man. It was I was at the house with my family, and you know what's gonna happen.
Right.
You get the phone call. I got the phone call like 2 picks prior, and they were saying as long as everything's okay, we're gonna pick you. So you can start snapping hands and slapping up. You feel good, but once they say your name on the screen,
you see it on TV,
and it's
man.
real, man.
Yeah.
And you see everybody, all eyes on you, tears and stuff, and you just think of, it's no longer just a dream. It's no longer just a goal. It's no longer I can't wait until or I know it's going to happen. No, we here now,
right?
And you got your name, Isaiah Pead, the NFL player.
Right.
That's different, and that holds weight personally.
Right.
It may just be somebody talking, but that holds weight personally to the person that it is, that it's coming from. And so just finally just having that quick 30-second moment, man, it's unexplainable. But then it's continue. You're not satisfied,
right?
And you got your personal goals that you want to continue to hit. While everybody else is still living in the moment, you're already thinking ahead of what needs to happen. So,
no, that's a beautiful thing to be able to be drafted, especially when you get drafted at a point to where it was unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
I could only imagine the excitement and the joy that you felt and your moms and all your family felt at that point in time, man. That shit, it's just surreal. It's just a real feeling. I mean, you grow up watching these people on TV play in the league all these years. You play in a video game, and to all of a sudden say, I'm about to be on this shit. It's like, wow. But like I said, we bounced around a little bit. Bouncing around, you played in the NFL for, 4 or 5 years?
5 years.
And you still would have been playing, because I remember you was with Miami.
Mm-hmm. You went to Pittsburgh for like
Pittsburgh.
Hot second, it was like a business decision.
Did you play in the game, though?
Never got to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then in that offseason, right, the offseason, take us through that situation in the offseason, what led to you and the accident that you had that kind of changed your life and derailed your football career.
I had just left.
You was with the Dolphins.
I was with the Dolphins in 2016.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I got released finally. When I say finally, with the Rams in 15. Picked up again with the Steelers and then dropped. So got home at the end of February, end of November, December, and 2015 I went to Arizona to train, and in 2016 was training, got the call to work out from Miami. I'm on the team then all the way and got released in October 11th, was it? Yeah, October 11th. And I remember that because ironically a month later, November 11th was the day that football was ended for me. I was off a team, and I had a son,
right?
And the mother of my child, she was pregnant, but she was getting induced. And I remember leaving Miami on the 28th, October 28th. He was supposed to come November 2nd. He didn't. He came November 5th, which was a Saturday, and I remember obviously just being with him there,
right?
Man, and having that
beautiful time. It was baby boy.
Yeah, my dog. And he was born, in the middle, like it was at 3 p.m., 3:19 p.m. You know the time. 3:19. He was born in the afternoon. Yeah. But I had a flight to catch. I had to go down to the Chiefs, for a workout.
Right.
This would have been my second workout with them. I worked out with them before I got to Miami, and then they wanted me to work out again after Miami, so I felt strong about it, and I believe Jamal Charles had just tore his knee again, and they needed one, I felt strong about the situation, and being caught up in the moment, man, and everybody, the family being caught up in the moment. My ride when I was late to the airport. We didn't get to the airport on time. Flying Delta, Delta, they got them crazy rules, man. I knew we should have been flying Southwest. But so I didn't make it. So they tell me to catch one in Cincinnati. So I get a car right quick, and a rental car, and get down to Cincinnati. Cincinnati Airport is actually in Kentucky.
Right.
Extra 20, 30 minutes. Yeah. So get down there, same situation. So didn't make it, bro. And it was just like, I'm telling him, like, bro, I gotta make this flight.
Right.
Ain't no
Right.
way. Nothing. So, we got one for you tomorrow. Just hold it, bro. I mean, because, it was over. So,
Right.
driving back home, man, and I was in this eerie feeling. I didn't listen to music, bro.
Right.
That was a whole 2 hours, bro. Like,
Yeah.
no music, no nothing, dog. Like, windows rolled up. I didn't even hear the outside. Like, I was upset with myself, but I couldn't wait to get home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And bro, I never felt like that. I can't even. It was one of them, like you said, getting drafted feelings.
Right.
You can't really put it to words. And it was just, I just remember it being eerie. It was weird. And I get home and just held my boy, man, and started. I was disappointed in myself, and to get over that feeling and to make it mean something, I would just be a dad,
Right.
and that feeling, at that point, football wasn't my first priority anymore,
Right.
and to be living in that moment, that kind of helped me get over
Right.
that feeling.
Gotcha. I mean, anytime you're obviously in a situation to where, football's been our life for so long.
Yeah.
It's been a part of us since we've all been kids, and to, miss out on an opportunity, because I did it too. Man. I missed out on a flight for a workout, and I'm like, God damn, there's another opportunity gonna come. You kind of
Right.
kicking yourself in the butt, and all this shit is going through your mind.
Right.
And I could only imagine what you were going through, because you just had a son at this point in time. It's like, damn,
you trying to go
I
hard.
need this opportunity to be able to, continue my lifestyle and take care of him and set him up.
Right.
So I could only imagine, bro, that the eerie feeling that you was feeling
Right.
going home and, being kind of,
Yeah.
I don't want to say in a sunken place, but I've been in that place like, man, what's next?
Yeah,
What am I
but then
gonna
it
do?
was like what's next and all that, but it is like, I don't care. I'm
Right.
gonna get to my boy,
Right.
And that's what made it even worse. Like, am I really coming to terms? I don't care that I just missed this football opportunity,
Right. Yeah.
and go be with my boy. Is this real? Is this really happening?
Yeah.
And not to say it was wrong, but just to really embrace that,
Right.
on a 2-hour ride,
Exactly.
and yeah, so
So talk us through, the night that your accident happened, man. Like, what happened, man? Like,
man, I was with my boy. We was laid up, and I had a Cadillac CTSV.
I remember that joint.
Yeah, it was-
Two-door.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that joint.
Yeah.
whistle.
Right.
And had an old teammate who his locker used to be right next to me, right here. He was number 24. I was 23, and he was in town. I had the car for like 2 years, and he had never seen it. And he had always, we was all in the group chat. He always wanted to see it, and he ended up coming over. He had got into town late and got over to the house late, maybe around 11 something, 12 something, and I was laid up with my boy, and he was like, "Come on, let's go run out right quick to Avalon," and or Avalon Republic, one of the two.
Change names.
Yeah, and I'm like, all right. He dragged me out. We were there for a minute. He was trying to get me out. Finally, was like, all right, come on, we go out right quick, and it's late anyway, so it's like whatever. And so we mainly just went up there to kind of just catch the let out. I think he really had a chick up there.
Right. Hey, man, come on, man, see the old girl, man.
Right.
Because you don't know whether I don't know whether I'm a cash in. I don't know whether take me home.
Like,
So I need you to come on with me.
Yeah, and I was in the house for a whole week.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So you were trying to
being
get
a
out.
dad. So it
Yeah.
was like, that's kind of what got me out of there. And I even swooped my dad. There was 3 of us in the car on the way there. And my dad ended up seeing somebody else too at the club.
He cashed out.
Yeah, he cashed out.
Passed out, you know what I'm saying? So he left. So there was just me and him, my boy, in the car. We headed to Waffle House, right there off of Cassidy, and we taking 670, and we're passing the Leonard. We're getting to the Leonard exit. It's a straightaway.
Right.
And I'm an East Side boy. I don't really take 670 too often. So when I see the straightaway, I'm like, oh. So he had just said something like, man, let me see something here.
Right.
So okay, boom, we kick it. I let him hear the whistle. I let him hear that engine. And we start getting around to, we passed Leonard, and now it's before we get to Fifth Avenue exit. And wasn't no cars on the way or nothing. But it's over with.
Right.
The surgeon is over with. Everything's over with. I'm slowing down. And it starts to kind of curve to the left, And we coming down, and I kind of just looked over at him right here. I look over at him, and what you think, what won't, and there was a big, like, something that went from the median all the way to the outside. It was like a bump, and the road was messed up. And as I was asking him that, we hit it, and it was like, whoa. And tires started to skirt, started to about to hit the wall right here in the median, and I'm trying to just catch it, like, mind you, I never been in an accident,
right?
So I'm but I play video games. So I'm trying to go with it, like, and I ended up catching it. Boom. So now we're going this way, and I'm like, oh no, now I got to get back this way. But like I say, the freeway was going left, and right there at 5th Avenue, bro, and right before you get on the ramp, right before the ramp, we shot out the guardrail, and I just remember. Right before going through, I just was like, shit, and like, shit,
right.
'Cause I lost that whole this and that, and next thing you know, I come to in the hospital, I tubes in my mouth, and that's that. Now, ever since, like, life going on, I have flashes of the accident of what I seen. It almost feels like, a dream. You wake up the next day,
right,
and you trying to tell somebody a dream that you just had, and you can't really put it all the way together.
Spotty.
Right. And but eventually that dream may leave you, and you kind of just remember what you were telling the dream for.
Right.
Instead of the spotty is even gone. I still have the spotty. And that's where I feel like that was real.
Right.
I remember flying in the air and getting that roller coaster stomach feeling, and I remember hitting the ground. When a dream, when you fall, you wake up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I remember getting the stomach feeling and hitting the ground and just feeling the vibration, feeling it.
Right.
And you're not supposed to feel nothing in a dream. I know that. Watch movies and all. So it was like, I remember that part. Another spotty image I remember is 3 guys running down, just shadow, like on some army type of stuff, picking me up. Mind you, I don't feel nothing. I don't remember feeling nothing, but I just remember that.
Right.
And another image I remember is the ambulance lights. So laying like this and seeing the lights. So I believe that was part of it, of the accident. But I don't remember being awake at all.
Right.
Being knocked out. Had a concussion and all. And so I believe, just putting everything together that happened, because my leg was kind of severed below my knee, left inside the car, which I'm now above the knee. The doctors had to, cut up here, and my knee, this knee was actually bent back, and I tore off for ACL, MCL, PCL, LCL. And the hamstring. And so just putting everything together, I believe the guardrail came in the car, sent the car airborne. I was ejected out the car. And when I went out the side, it must have just sliced it right off. And I had a big scar on my leg here. It was I just needed stitches. So I felt like I got scratched out, as I was getting thrown out. But this knee's all bent up. Like I said, this leg was left in the car, right here in the hair rest. My boy that was in the car, he walked away, 3 scratches on his head.
Shit.
He didn't need Band-Aid or nothing. Man. Yeah, and so he actually went through the tumbling.
Right.
Which was, that's a blessing on his behalf.
No question.
And ultimately, there's a fire station right at the top of 5th Avenue. They were able, I guess, to get down and tie me up and get me to the hospital.
Man, that's deep right there, bro.
Deep. Man, what?
Or you can hear the emotion in your voice when you're talking about it and trying to relieve that experience, man. That's wild as hell, and that's something that's just life changing in general. Obviously, the ailment and the impairment that you have, but beyond that, going through the circumstance of being in a car accident and the traumatization in which you experienced and leaving the car, bro, that shit is wild. But the resilience in it, and the thing that I love that I see now, man, and that I really wanted to talk about, but I wanted the people that don't know the story with your accident to be able to hear it. But the crazier thing and the thing that I get excited about was when I see you working out and competing and not letting that shit affect anything. You still got that competitive desire.
Of course.
And you just finished your first, was it?
My first race.
Your first race, bro.
100-meter dash.
Hey, bro. and when I first seen you training, and you put the thing on your leg, what's this called?
It's a blade.
The blade. And we saw
prosthetic leg. Yeah.
What's the cat's name from South Africa that went to jail for killing this girl or something like that?
Because
you asked me too quick. Oscar Pistorius.
Oscar Pistorius.
Yeah. Oscar Pistorius.
He ran with the blade and won a bunch of different medals and shit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So now you enter that atmosphere in that game, and dog, your whole life has obviously been you've been through a bunch of adversity and a bunch of challenges from where you grew up to the college situation and getting drafted and all that. What type of challenge has this been for you going through this and training? And then, not to mention that you obviously you got to wear a blade, but we're talking about a guy that's coming off a torn hamstring, torn everything in his fucking knee because it was essentially up behind your shoulder.
You still competing. You still after. You know
Correct.
what I'm saying?
I mean, honestly, bro, you know how it is when you have an injury in football. You just got to sit down and you just got to do that injury. Mm-hmm. Initially, that's kind of how it was. And obviously, having a knee that was that way, I couldn't move. Right. Basically, I wake up, no leg, this leg messed up. I just knew, I gotta take care of this injury and I'm gonna get better. Mm-hmm. It is gonna be better. But knowing that, I think it was hard to fathom that I'm never gonna get back to football. Mm-hmm. No matter how better I get, it's not gonna be football. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I would feel that loss, that grief, and want to. Because I'm now I can't compete. Mm-hmm. How am I compete? And I'm not really a moral victory type. I don't want to do it for bragging rights. I want it to mean something.
Exactly.
So I just came from the highest stage of competing in the NFL. What's the next highest stage in competing? And it's not as simple as that here in getting in the Paralympics. But there's opportunity out there to compete and to be competitive, and there are. That whole amputee world is competitive, man. They all got that chip on the shoulder the same way I do. And it's a real positive community, man. It's a real uplifting community. I mean, I've heard crazy stories, and I see kids who running on prosthetics, walking on prosthetics, and with the biggest smiles on their face. And, they're coming to me because I used to be who I was as an able-bodied. And it was inspiring to them, but they inspired me because they've always been this way. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's like, welcome to the club. Welcome to the crew. Now I'm the rookie. How long has it been? Only 2 years. Oh, it's been 20 for me. And it's like, man, that's what's up, man. So yeah.
But was there a time period when you were going through it to where you were feeling sorry for yourself, or was it always, that's life, let me go ahead and move on and pick up the pieces?
No, I was never feeling sorry for myself. Right. There's definitely been times of reflecting. Right. And definitely there's times of, remembering the person who I was and things like that. But you can't cry over spilled milk. Coach in football say you can't let the same team beat you twice. Mm-hmm. Not that I'll go out and lose another limb, but you can't dwell on the past, man. You got to continue to make the next day your best day, and continue to shock the world. Right. If
definitely doing that shit, man.
If that motivates you, then that. What motivates me was my son. Right. Right. Yeah. And I had his mom ended up going back to work. He didn't go to any daycares or anything, so I took care of him. Mm-hmm. But before I can get my medicine or do anything that I got to do, I'm gonna have to change his diaper and get his bottle right quick, and then get him showered up. And, I put him on my lap. We'll crawl to the shower, sit in my shower chair. I'm gonna get you together. Now I'm gonna put you outside in your towel. I'm gonna get me together. Right. And so it was like, still putting myself second. And just wanting to still be able to when he can finally. Understand what's going on. I can brag to him. Right. Exactly. Like, man, I was having something to brag to him. Not necessarily, but also seeing how it may affect somebody when I explain my story to them, and that motivates them and inspires them, as opposed to me being a great football player and somebody that inspires somebody. And so that's a different type of feeling, man. It's a different type of accountability you feel, and it's a different type of love, and it's a different type of drive that that drives me. And I can pat myself on the back for it. It's not something that you feel. It's not a big-headed type of feeling.
Right.
It's not a the big-headed type of feeling, bro. It's literally a genuine feeling to feel that love and to want to give it back and inspire somebody.
Exactly.
So
I'm just happy, man, to see that after everything that happened, man, your spirit never got cracked, man. It was like, when I came up there to see you, in the hospital, man, you still clowning, you still joking, man, you still talking shit. I'm like, man, this dude over here ain't got no leg. My boy ain't got no leg. One other leg all messed up. I'm like, man, my dude still doing his thing, man. So I'm just happy to see you.
Thanks, man.
Still out there going to get it, man. Finding a way to make it happen. You know what I'm saying?
So what's the next in terms of the competing aspect?
I really want to get into wheelchair basketball.
Okay.
And of course get better at the track stuff. Right now, I'm finding out that the track is more so like NASCAR, man. You got the NASCAR driver, but you got a pit crew that's going to put that car together. Something happened, the pit crew's going to put it together, not necessarily the driver. And that's literally what it is, man. And so the difficulty is finding that pit crew, finding the finances for the pit crew as far as different foundations and things like that, and just finding a whole new situation from the ground, from no knowledge, obviously being ignorant to the situation. That's one thing I realized too. It's like I'm able-bodied one day, next day I become an amputee, and everybody's asking amputee questions. What does this mean, or how you feel? What? It's like, I don't know. You're like,
shit just happened to me.
Don't know. And it's like you got to get around them different type of situations and events and things and people, and so finding that's a whole nother process in itself. But I forget what you asked. I was talking about. I do remember.
Now, what's next? When I was asking, what's next?
What's next? What's next is, again, just to continue to network and to find those situations, and to get my running blade put together. Right. Right now my blade is kind of just not on a setting for me. And that me running, what you seen me running track, that wasn't my setting. There was different Autobach was out there. There was different tents out there. They have different prosthetic parts, and they allowed me, basically like the different pit crews of the amputee world was out there, and they took my leg and they set it up, and I practiced on it, and they was like, how do you like this? I'm like, I like it. And they said, hey, well, you can go ahead and run on it, and tomorrow, and because I did it the day before.
So you had no training with it.
No training. I was doing everything right before the track meet and everything, and then ran it. And so it's like, and so where the business is if you liked it, okay, well, let's set up whoever that foundation to get it paid for and things like that, and then we'll set it up for you. Right. So it's just finding the foundations, applying for the grants, and the people like that. It's a whole process. My leg right now actually does not have a knee on it. So the leg I was running in, it has a knee. That's why I was bending, looking normal. If I didn't have a knee, which I don't on my one now, it's a straight leg, and you kind of like, it's called circumduct, and you running from the outside with this leg, and you coming straight through with this leg.
A little harder.
So it's real. It's a equation. Every step is like a math equation, and it's not natural. And the moment you do come straight through, my toe skits the ground and I fall going 100 miles an hour. So it's a lot, man. It's a lot. Ultimately, I want to basically get that situation put together, get on a basketball team, a wheelchair basketball team, and just continue to.
Have you hooped?
I have, man.
I was about to say, so you think you a hooper now?
Listen, man, hey, it's different now. It's different being in that chair. You got to give it a little push, then shoot. But I like it, man. I got a little flick on me.
That's what's up.
Speaking of basketball, speaking of hooping, I'm sure you know what's going on in the NBA right now. NBA free agency is about to transpire here in a couple of weeks, maybe in days. I don't know the exact date on it.
Start
a couple
Sunday.
of days. So we about to be seeing dudes get broke off, and I love seeing it. I love seeing cats get their money. Who's your team in the NBA? Who do you want to see that's a free agent now? Go to your team or go to somewhere to be able to, look good.
I think I'm really I don't have an NBA team, but my boy is Kyrie. Kyrie is my favorite.
That's one of the biggest free agents out there.
Right.
He is.
So I want to see, where he goes, man.
Where you want him to go, though?
I keep hearing he, going to the Nets.
Yeah.
I wanted him to get back with LeBron.
Ooh, that would have been
LA.
nasty.
That would have been crazy. Once
They ain't
got
letting that
AD,
happen, though, man.
It might, man. It might.
No, they might be over with now with AD. You think?
Oh no, they still can afford. They can
they
afford
can.
One. Yeah, they can afford one of them other
Yeah,
guys.
I'm
For
with
real?
that.
Yeah.
I want him to shock the world.
Ooh, if he
man.
shocked the
Go
world.
Kyrie. Hey, LA, come on,
It'd be
man.
serious,
That'd be
man.
nasty.
I'm getting the throwback. I'm getting the throwback Laker Kyrie on it. I'm telling you.
That would be dope, man. That's probably the outside of Kyrie, which is obviously one of the bigger free agents out there. The next one for me is it's going to be interesting to see where Kemba Walker goes.
Yeah.
Kemba is a beast, and I think he's undervalued. People don't give him the credit because he's in Charlotte. And he gets to see him a lot.
He ain't ever been on a solid team.
Right,
Where he
but
had
he'll
a lot
light
of help.
your ass up.
Oh man, 1-on-1.
Yep.
I'll take him all day 1-on-1
Yeah.
against anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I didn't think he was leaving. I know Jordan was saying he was staying forever.
Ah, shit. He ain't trying to stick around. He ain't going to win shit. He going to get paid. Maybe Jordan got some money to give him.
Jordan's selfish though, man.
Hey,
You know he want to keep all his money, man.
Right.
Yeah.
He want to keep all his
I'm
money.
gonna still keep rocking the kicks.
Right. Can't let him go, man. Well, man, we appreciate you coming on, dog. We appreciate you sharing your story, man, of adversity and overcoming it. And that's the more impressive thing to me, man, is the ability to be able to overcome. So if you're listening out there, check out Isaiah Pead at
IPEAD
on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and follow the story, man. And if you guys know any companies out there that will support what he's doing, tag it below on YouTube and tag us at Lettermen Row.
I'm also doing the speaking too, the public speaking thing.
Exactly, and you can find him on the social media for that. So continue to reach out, continue to follow the story. Appreciate y'all taking the time, listening to Beanie and the Boom. That's a wrap.